Last one. If you don't become like little children, you cannot enter the kingdom of God. What does that really mean? If you go into a second grade classroom where those 7-year-old kids are, and you tell them anything, 9 times out of 10, they believe you because they have no reason to believe that you would lie to them. They have a certain innocence to them that's cute, but at the same time, naive. You could tell them that the sky was falling and they would really believe it. You could tell them the world is flat and they would believe it. You can tell a little boy that he's a girl and he'll believe it, which is why we should protect our children rather than allow all kinds of craziness to happen. We are called to have that same innocence. We are called to have that same compassion. You want to see something interesting? Have a show on a TV with a little infant, an infant, and let someone on the show get hurt. The infant cries because that person got hurt. They don't know the person. They don't know why the person got hurt. They don't know anything about what's even going on. All they know is that person is hurt and I'm sad because they got hurt, even if they deserved it because they're the bad guy. Do we feel sad when we see someone hurt who's not the good guy? We're happy they got hurt. You see the difference? When it says that we are called to have the heart of a child, to be like children, it means that we're called to a certain innocence, a certain generosity, a certain kindness. There was a study that they had where these children were in Africa, very poor place. And they were playing games for candies. And one kid had won a lot of these candies, and they're giving them to the other kids, even though they were his. And they asked him, "Why are you giving away the candies?" And he says, "How can I be happy when they're not?" Our kids have everything and demand more. They have nothing, and they're willing to share what little they do have because they don't want anybody else to suffer. That is what we're called to return to, or if we were never really there, to go to, so that before we die, we have that same care for other people, that same innocence, that same sense of goodness that some of these small children exemplify. Not the children that are pulling on pigtails and causing havoc. Children can be mean too. Someone once told me, they said, we need to be like little children. I said, well, we don't need to be little children like me, because I was the devil when I was a kid. But we need that innocence that comes from early childhood. Any questions?
So, Father, you mentioned that telling boys the girls and all that stuff. So that really is taking away their innocence.
Correct. Telling boys that they're girls, teaching 5-year-olds how to have sex, that's taking away their childhood in a sense. Because while we're trying to protect the child by all this stuff, at the same time, we're teaching them how to be adults when they're 5 years old. They don't have an opportunity to be carefree, not worry about sex and violence and everything else. We're teaching them, you don't talk to people, you stay away from people, you look for guns, stay away from drugs. I mean, the world has become such that in order to protect the child, they have to be worried about everything that they see. Hold my hand and don't get out of my sight because you could be kidnapped and I'll never see you again. I mean, you say this to the children, they can't play outside because they might be kidnapped, they might be shot. That doesn't mean that they won't be in some places. Don't get me wrong, we do have to be careful, but we don't have to let the child know that that's why. We could just tell them that they need to stay with us because they need to stay with us. They don't need an explanation. We're taking away that innocence as we get younger and younger when we teach them stuff that they really don't need to know.
Well, and you're telling kids things that it used to be, if you spoke to children be arrested.
It's true. If you spoke to children that way in years past, it would be illegal.
It would be.
But the world is changing, and we're not called to adapt the world. We're not called to adopt the world. We're called to adapt. How do we respond in a way that keeps our ideas sacred and lives in a world where things are changing in a way that we may not like? We have to be open to the Spirit to show us the way to respond in a way that's loving and charitable while still protecting us and our sacred values.